All right, everybody. Good evening. Welcome back to this week's installment of the Area Scouts ProCast. I am your host, Hector Sandoval, Director of Media here at Area Scouts. Joining us on the mic tonight is Dr. Anthony Anzillo, the Director of Sports Medicine and Performance for Area Scouts. And together we're sitting down tonight to have a conversation with Mr. Jonathan Hagerty, our National Director of Wide Receivers here at Area Scouts. How's it going, everybody?
Doing great. How about you?
Doing
Good, good.
well. Jonathan, I know last week we had a couple of technical difficulties there. I hope everything's doing well now on your side.
Yeah, we getting all four seasons down in Dallas. So, it's icy, it's rainy, snowy. And
Oh,
so,
yeah. It's getting a little colder over there now, huh? And then probably tomorrow it'll be hot again, or y'all gonna stay cold?
it's actually going into another freeze tonight. So, yeah, they're doing a weather advisory warning. So, yeah, like right now, it's freezing.
I'm about 7 hours southwest of you, and we're freezing a few days ago, and we'll be about 88 degrees in a couple of days. So it's
Right.
down like 2 hours west of San Antonio.
San Antonio, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
down there.
You're what? I'm sorry?
I have family down that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, then they know. Everybody knows the crazy weather down here in Texas. So I wanted to start off tonight just with a little bit of background. Just the textbook question of exactly who is Jonathan Hagerty. Could you give us some background about yourself?
Yeah, so I would describe myself as a person who is a mentor, a life coach, and someone who wellness is extremely important to my life. Being a former professional athlete that plays a major part in who I am as a person and, going after my dreams. But I would say, a trainer, a life coach, a coach, health and wellness. I wouldn't say expert. I know people coin that phrase, health and wellness expert, but I would just say I'm passionate about what I do, and in that respect.
And you're doing some motivational speaking as well these days. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm very passionate about motivational speaking. I love speaking life into others and helping people to break the barriers, whether that be on the field or off the field, or whatever area or stage you are in your life. I'm someone who is sought after, for my expertise and my value as it pertains to my background. I've worked in the fitness industry 10 plus years, so it's been unique that I've played professional sports for more than 7 years, but I've also been in the health and wellness industry and worked with some of the biggest names in the business.
Right. And so what about sports? Yeah, I know you're in Dallas right now. Are you originally from Texas?
Yes, I'm born and raised Dallas, Texas. A cowboy at heart.
Yeah. I feel you, and I also feel that laughter. It's a struggle sometimes.
Prime, man. You gotta have thick skin in Dallas.
Right. Yep. I hear you. So, were you a Cowboys fan growing up?
Absolutely, yeah. And I was. I think that's one of the things that inspired my dream of playing in the NFL. Is when I was young, I remember vividly, and actually, I'm writing a book. I kind of in the intro of just absorbing the scene as a kid, looking at the Cowboys, winning those championships, and just the atmosphere in my family living room. I'm like, wow, they're really, they're really into this, and it just looked like they were having fun. And so I said to myself, if I ever get to do that one day, I definitely want to do that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I can only imagine. Like I said, I grew up a Cowboys fan as well, but I can imagine being in or around the Metroplex in those heyday years, like in the golden days and the golden years when we're rattling off championships, and then having to kind of take a step back for a couple decades now and kind of just hope that we get back up there sooner or later.
Yeah.
And so football. So were the Cowboys a reason why you got into how old were you when you got into football? After watching those championships, you wanted to go out there and put some pads on, or what is it that drove you to the football field?
So for me, I didn't get around to playing organized sports until high school.
Mm.
So I always played in the neighborhood with my friends, and I think they could tell you that I was pretty much one of the best athletes in the neighborhood. But we had some athletes in the neighborhood, and we would play, we called it throwback tackle.
Mm-hmm.
In our yard in the summer, we would go to different neighborhoods and at school. And so, I was very confident, playing, and me and my brothers and cousins would go against each other. They were older than me. And so, that was kind of like my training battleground. But the first sport I actually tried out for was basketball.
Oh.
And I remember trying out, and my brother and cousin came to watch me try out, and I bombed. I froze up. It was like horrible. And because I played basketball just like football in the neighborhood, but I never really knew about organized sports,
Right.
And so when I got in that position, my first, taste of playing organized basketball, it was just moving way too fast for me, and I froze up. And when I didn't make the cut, I felt bad. Oh my God. And I said, I felt embarrassed. And I said, I'll never, ever play sports again. I will never, ever try out. I remember leaving the gymnasium and just having my brother and cousin look at me. And, they didn't look at me with a mad look. Mm-hmm. They looked at me like, just, it's okay. Like, this is your first taste. Like, you got this, a great athlete. But I felt like everything was shattered. So for me, I was just like, I don't want to participate anymore.
Right.
It's hard to imagine I made it to the NFL from that.
But that's a good lesson though, because it's like, and it's funny. I have a niece who's kind of going through the same thing right now. She's just getting into sports. She's actually got her first track meet tomorrow. But she's getting into school sports. She's just in middle school right now, and I have another one who she lives up in Maine, and she's playing basketball. And I was talking to my sister, and she said that she's not the best on the team yet. It's her first year. She's already started with a couple legs behind because the other girls have been playing for a while. And she says, she gets a little frustrated because she doesn't really get too much playing time. But I've coached youth for a lot of years, so she knows better than to say, oh, well, they need to play me more. She knows that she needs to work a little harder. She needs to practice a little more. And so the lesson that I'm trying to convey to her is that it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be upset that you're not doing too well, that you're not getting too much playing time, but you have to channel that the right way. Don't get upset and want to quit and think that you're the worst player in the world and think that nothing's ever going to come of this. If you're going to get upset, get focused, get into practice, lace up your shoes and get back up and try it again. And so I believe that lesson is kind of it's validated in your process. You started basketball and you thought that you would never play sports again, and look where you ended up. Like, that's awesome. That's great. So it's a really good. I hope she's watching. Emily and Camila, I hope you guys are watching today. It's a really good lesson to learn.
100%. And that's why I can mentor these young people in all different ages, because I've been there. I know what it feels like to want to give up, to want to quit, to second guess yourself. I've had all of those feelings, and to make it past those barriers and to keep going. Obviously, there's a lot that went into the whole journey and the story, and it's a growth process. But you're 100% right. Don't get bitter. Find a way to get better. Find a way to become a better you. Because on one side, I'm like, I know I'm not crazy because my friends who I dominate in my front yard and in the neighborhood, they're actually playing on the team and they're doing very well.
Mhm.
So, obviously they had experience, playing organized sports, whereas I didn't. And I think about, area scouts. Had I had something or someone like that where I could learn the fundamentals and actually, prepare me for the organized sports,
Right.
I could have been that much further on my development journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I like about the platform. It gives kids that wouldn't have had that push, that extra push otherwise. It opens the doors for a lot of people. And the reach is far beyond anything that they would see otherwise. So growing up, I mentioned my nieces. I'll bring it back up a little bit because they're also juggling with UIL extracurricular activities, and I understand that you were also in a couple of extracurriculars. You were in choir, is that right?
Yeah, I was in a. I didn't think he was gonna bring that up.
No, why not? That's interesting. It's something I want to learn. There's people see athletes or think about sports and think that that's the only thing that you do, but there's a lot of things that you can do. It's not just, you don't have to just 100% focus on the one thing. I mean, it's going to be tough, but you can have other extracurricular activities under your belt. And choir is one that I hadn't heard before
Yeah,
in interviews. So I'm interested in this.
yeah.
Maybe you
So
can give us a little taste.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll make me feel like a basketball tryouts again, man.
Don't want to do that to you.
So I'll start by saying track was actually the first organized, when you spoke about your niece. Track was the first organized sport that I participated in middle school. But during middle school, choir was like the first, I guess, organized where I'm performing with other than the elementary orchestra. I played and viola and cello back
Wow.
then. But when I got to middle school, it was track and choir, and so it was crazy because growing up in church, my mom always, built that strong foundation. So we were in the church choir, and my brother was doing the lead songs. And by the time I got to middle school, in middle school, they just select your classes for you. So one of my classes was, choir. And so it went from me actually being in the class to me being in the performing choir, because my teacher was like, boy, you got a voice. Yeah. You're going to be in my performing choir and you're going to travel with us. And I was like, oh, man. And it was funny because my mom loved every bit of it. Every bit. He was like, you better use your gift before God takes it from you. I remember telling me that when I was little. So I was literally thinking, is God going to like zap my voice? I don't use this. She was like, don't be shy. She was like, use your gift. And so, my middle school teacher taught me how to use my voice, and pretty much we won. It was crazy. We won first place everything. And I was like, whoa. Then when we got to high school, started performing on TV and everything like that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So it's pretty busy all through school with different extracurriculars.
Yeah, and so it was crazy because I was sort of torn, because in the back of my mind I really wanted football, but I actually began to love choir as well. So it was like I love them both. But the first time that, like I say, I didn't play organized sports until 9th grade. When I actually got to 9th grade, choir started being a little bit phased out, because 10th grade, I was like, here we go. Like, this is what I want right now. And so, but, music will always be a part of my life, just like is. I think you need a balance,
Absolutely.
I sing every day.
Did you ever have did they ever cross over? Like, did you ever have a game on the same weekend as a concert or something like that? Like, did you ever have to choose specifically between the two?
I don't recall. Let me see. Actually, yes. In the 9th and 10th grade, sometimes when our games was on Friday night, then we had the performing choir on Friday nights and Thursday nights, and so it was kind of it was tough.
Yeah.
Usually, basketball coach arguing with the football coach or the track coach arguing with. It's never the choir coach.
Right. The choir coach is not going to come out and say like,
don't go to my football coach.
Yeah.
They know the choir teacher and he needs to be singing.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother 3 years that I'm gonna have to get over.
Right.
Right.
And on the subject of coaches, how was that an important factor in you choosing to focus just on football, or how long when you went to football, did you stay with track and basketball, or was it just football? And if so, was the coaching a part of your decision?
Yeah. So I never once I played did the basketball tryout. That was pretty much basketball. So I played basketball other than a minor recreation game for a rec team, but no, not like for the high school or college or anything. So mainly it was choir, and then it phased to track and football and wrestling, and then it was track and football, and then pretty much football. So I actually didn't want to run track at first, but to your question, definitely coaches and mentors were some of the biggest factors in helping me to navigate toward my dream and toward my goal, because starting with my mother, starting with my support system, and then my coaches, as far as like football coaches, track coaches, they helped me to navigate forward, because there were times, just like the basketball incident, where things were not going how they looked on TV with the Dallas Cowboys. That wasn't reality. that wasn't really how it went in high school, especially the high school I went to. Shout out to the Tigers, but you had to earn your stripes. And so, in the 10th grade, football was not what I thought it would be. It wasn't fun for me. It wasn't what I thought. And I was going to make a decision to quit. And I had a mentor, one of my coaches on the staff. He actually lived a block away from my aunt. And one day in the summer, I was walking around the block, and I saw him doing yard work. And we had an hour conversation. And I told him, I said, I'm thinking about quitting. It's like, this ain't for me. I thought it was, but this ain't for me. And he said, you gonna quit? I said, yeah. He said, no, you're not. And I like look, I was kind of like taken back, like, yeah. And so he was like, you know why? I was like, why? He's like, well, you're not a quitter. And I was like, quiet. And it was true. I wasn't a quitter, but I was so frustrated with how things were going. And he said, you got something those guys don't have. So at this point, I'm thinking he's trying to rah-rah me, because I'm like, have you seen the athletes? Like, what could I have? What could I possibly have that they don't have?
Right.
Because they're doing what's, And so but he looked at me like very sure, like I'm not joking with you. And he said something to me that actually just lit a flame in me, and I think it became the essence of my grind. He said, you got a work ethic. And I said, work ethic? What do you mean? I never heard those words put together like that. Well, he said, a lot of those guys are bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, they're talented. And he said, but you, on the other hand, you work for every play, for every catch, for every yard. And he was like, you're not the coach's favorite, which means you have to go above and beyond. He's like, but he said, I see your work ethic. And he said, there are other coaches who see that work ethic too. And he said, but don't worry about the politics. Just focus on your work ethic. And this is what I believe changed my destiny, and helping me. One of the biggest things that helped me get to the NFL. He said, if you keep up your hard work and your work ethic, your hard work would outwork their talents and you'll get what you want. Well, when he said that to me as a 10th grader, he didn't know I was thinking about the NFL.
Right.
It's not even a starter. And he says this to me, and he's probably thinking he wants to start.
Right. Yeah.
So when he said, you'll get what you want, when I heard that and processed it, I looked at him like, I'll get what I want.
You know what I want? Are you sure? Do you know what I want?
Yeah. So I never told him. I wanted the NFL, but I said, I'll get what I want. And he said, yeah, you'll get what you want. And I said it again. I was like, I'll get what I want. He said, you'll get what you want. I said, okay. Man, it was like I had chill bumps, and it was like a flame was lit. It was as if, I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was as if God was speaking to me through this coach saying, don't you dare give up on the dream that you had in your heart. And from there, I was like, I didn't really care about, I've never been a guy who cared about stats and things like that. I've always been, focused on getting better, applying myself and listening to my coaches, listening to the mentors, and putting myself in position to become a better athlete for my team. And so that's pretty much who I am as a person and as an athlete. And so it's kind of, I've kind of grown from that, 14-year-old, 15-year-old pup, to now I'm 34, and it's a lifestyle now.
That's amazing. That's and it's interesting the role, the impact that a coach can have on their athletes. Yes, you push them in practice and you make sure that they're passing so that they can play, but for him to be able to see you in an exterior environment outside of the school, off the field, and care that much to tell you, like, to look you dead in the eye and tell you, no, you're not a quitter. Like, I know you, I know what you have in you, and that motivation, like that stuff. I don't know if he thought that would stick with you for 20 years. I don't know if he thought that, and when you're 34, you're going to be looking back, remembering what he said word for word and telling it to somebody else and in a conversation. Like he may have not noticed how impactful those words were going to be. I know he wanted to get that point across to you. I don't know if he knew exactly how much he would get it across. And that's amazing. That's great. I'm so glad that there are coaches out there like that take their player into consideration and really want to help bring them up.
Absolutely. One word from the right coach, mentor, can change, an athlete's destiny. It really can. And I'm living proof of that, because I had in my mind, I remember having in my mind that I'm done. And, it's not, I'll go sing on my way.
You what? Oh, you'll sing on your way out. So then you have a couple of years now. You come back. You're a sophomore. You come back to play some football. You end up getting recruited. When did you start hearing anything from recruits or from colleges, and who did you hear from? How did that process go, really?
Well, so I never started until my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must have had a heck of a year then.
But I said something. Yeah, it's crazy. So ninth grade, first time playing organized sports. Didn't start until my senior year. There's a lot that went on there, but that'll be in the book. But what I will say is that I started 1 year in high school, my senior year. In the year that I started, I led the team in yards, catches, and touchdowns.
Wow.
And then I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to a Division II school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big guy. I'm big on the word opportunity. That seemed to be like a thread in my life, to where if you have an opportunity, you have a chance to live. And so for me, I didn't have tons of D1s knocking down my doors and things like that. I actually had coaches who were very, very fond of my skills and things like that. And they were actually trying to, get me in position to go to D1s. Auburn, Kentucky, Texas State, Toledo. I remember one of my coaches, he told me about Toledo. I didn't even really know about all these big D1s.
Right.
I was just trying to get better and hoping to go to school and continue. But I didn't know Toledo was Toledo and all these schools like that. And so I remember him talking to me. He was like, man, he said, you want to go to Toledo? And I was like, we were walking in the school. And I was like, where's Toledo? He's like, that's in Ohio. He's like, it's cool. I was just like, I had never seen Toledo, but had that they run that big spread offense. I was like, so by the time I got into college and in the pros, I was like, oh, that's Toledo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I could have been there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is what my coach was talking about.
Yeah.
I see him to this day and we laugh about it. He was like, yeah, man. So but I had one scholarship offer to Southwestern Oklahoma, and I had never been out of Texas, and I remember, my mom and my sister telling me, you don't need to go where all your friends are going. You need to go where you can, go get an education and go make a name for yourself. And it's an opportunity. So when I heard that word opportunity, I was like, yeah, it's an opportunity. So, but it was kind of funny when they came to recruit me. Coach Black came in. He said, yeah, we feel strongly about you coming in and being our top receiver. We're recruiting you as our top receiver. We lost two of our starters. They graduated. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, what was your record? He was like 1-10. I was like, 10-1, 1-10. But we feel strongly about you coming in. And so I was like, it is an opportunity. And so I took that opportunity, and the rest is history. Right. I mean, it's history.
And that's what separates, I think. There's usually one point in any given day or week or lifetime, really, where you're going to go down one of two roads. And that mentality that you're talking about is of looking at the opportunity and taking it. Not just like, oh, well, it's a D2 school. I don't know. Maybe I'll just go do something else. Maybe. No, that was the opportunity. You saw the opportunity and you took it. There are countless people who didn't. There are countless people who didn't take that road, who ended up going somewhere else because they didn't like the name so much, or because they couldn't see the silver lining on the cloudy day, right? There are countless people that did that, and those people, and they may lead great lives of their own, but there's always that one missed opportunity that they had that they could have turned into something else. I think it's Josh Allen, quarterback for the Bills. I think I read that he didn't get recruited by any D1 schools at all. He had to send out hundreds of emails, and he reached out to them. So there's there's noticing the opportunity, and then there's also the other thing that you can do is there's forcing it. Like you know what you want, like your coach told you, if you work for it, you're gonna get what you want. You have to, but you have to go out there and do it. You can't just sit back. And I'm grateful for the people who take that road, and I'm very pleased to see that your mentality is that of viewing the silver lining, is not of seeing the bad side or the schools that didn't recruit you. It's about going with the one that did believe in you and helping them in any which way that you could. And you saw 1 in 10 and it didn't scare you. You knew that you were going to play for them, and you knew that you were going to be a help, and you went for it. And I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, because what was I'm gonna get all the way transparent with you, because this is crazy, because I always think about one thing, that it's not over until it's over.
Mhm.
And so I remember in every phase of my life, sometimes we think, man, it's over, it's done. And so before I had that one scholarship offer, I had nothing. And so I was thinking to myself, well, there's possibly go to the Army. There's my brother and cousin, they went to University of Houston. And so I was at a point to where, am I going to go to school? Where would I get scholarship? It was like up in the air now. And so I'm thinking about, man, that was a dream. That was a crazy dream to dream about the NFL. Well, I get, and then when the coach came along, when he said opportunity, it lit that, just like the coach lit the flame, the flame lit again. I was like, maybe it's not over. And so I'm thinking to myself, I really don't care if it's a Division 1, 2, or 3. Athletes can, if you're good enough, you can make it out of any of those schools. And so I'm like, this is an opportunity for me to go and compete and keep going. And, when it was all said and done, I started 1 year in high school, led the team, yards, catches, and touchdowns. I started all 4 years in college and broke all the records. All-time leading receiver, yards, catches, and touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah, they called me the other day.
Did they?
Hey, man, so I got a receiver on the phone. He broke your record. I started laughing. He's like, he didn't break your record. I'm just messing with you. I was like, man, I said, I got to be a hard-working man to break my record.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta work hard. You gotta work hard to get up there. And so you've played at multiple levels of the game. And I wanted to ask, what if you could give me a couple of just trials, like what do young athletes go through trying to get to that level? What are some of the trials that you had to go through? And once you get to the level where you wanted to go, like you broke all those records in college. You had to work to actually get yourself back into the game in high school. Then you had to work to help this D2 team in college. And then when you get to the league, does that work kind of ease up, or does it get even more intense?
No, it doesn't ease up at all. In fact, it's not comparable to college or high school. Like the competition level when you go from high school to college, it's like, oh. But when you jump from college to the pros, you're like, oh my God, because you might have 3 or 4 studs in high school. Well, when you go to college, you got 1 or 2. When you go to the NFL, everybody's a stud. And so no one cares. The window of era is about this small. Is about that small. And so if you get complacent, you're going to get cut. Because it's with the NFL, no, just like with college, no year is the same, but it's more so in the NFL because in college, when you sign a scholarship, you're pretty much there for, the 4 years, right?
Right.
In the NFL, you sign a contract, your teammate could be traded.
Right.
They could buy out that contract, your head coach could be fired, and so, it's not NFL, not for long, right? And so, you might be killing it, and then your head coach gets fired and they bring in a new head coach and you got to start all the way over proving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many moving parts.
Right.
The higher you get in any level of sports, whether you're talking about the NFL, NBA, soccer, World Cup, tennis, you name it. The higher you go, the harder you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Higher you go, the more you have to apply yourself. You have to become more disciplined. Mm-hmm. You don't have a lot of times for distractions. Not that you do. A lot of things you can get away with high school that you possibly could skate by within college. You can't get away with the pros. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No.
I heard a couple of people debating the other day, and it's a debate that I think we've all heard here and there. But they were talking about, one of them was saying that Alabama could beat the New York Jets. And then the other one was saying, what you're saying is, no, it's a completely different level. I don't care if you go undefeated for 3 years in college, you jump up to the pros and everybody's a stud.
Yeah, no, Alabama's good. Mm-hmm. They're a solid college team. They're dominant, but make no mistake, the worst NFL team would spank the best college team.
The best college team. Yep.
It's different. You got grown men out there, and so you got to think about, okay, the optimism, and people will say, well, maybe there's a little chance. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right. Everybody's got a puncher's chance.
But this is what you have to consider. Okay, Alabama, who are they playing all season? Mm-hmm. Now go to the Jets. Who are the Jets losing?
Right, yeah.
Versus who is Alabama losing, winning
against over. Right.
Yeah, so first, we have this record because every team in the NFL is good. Mm-hmm. And when every team is good, it makes even the not so good teams look bad.
Right.
But I wouldn't let that fool you into thinking any college team can roll in and just steamroll the Jets. No, it don't work like that.
Right. I think it's the statistic I think I had heard once was that 1% of all high school athletes will make it to college ball, and then 1% of college athletes will make it to the NFL. So the message for the youth athletes out there is the grind does not stop. You work and you work and you work.
Because here's what's funny. If you here's what will end the argument. Mm-hmm. Okay, if we're gonna take that bet that Alabama can beat the Jets, mm-hmm. okay, and the Jets are not good enough, let's take the bet all the way. Let's not take it halfway. Mm-hmm. Put Alabama against the whole Jets schedule. Mm-hmm. Put the Jets against Alabama's whole schedule.
Right. Yep.
Let the Jets go down there and play college team, and then come on, Alabama, play all these teams. You got to take the good with the bad.
Right. Absolutely. No, I wholeheartedly agree.
And then after one season, we'll see what the argument stands.
Yep. I think a lot of opinions will be changed there. And so we mentioned we're talking about the Jets, but we mentioned you're a fellow Cowboys fan as I am myself. And I know, do I understand correctly? Do you help with some youth camps up there?
Yeah, I collaborate with the Dallas Cowboys, we do youth camp. So, it's fundamentals, it's coaching, it's, mentoring. The age group is, I think it's all, 7 all the way to like 14, 15.
Nice. And do you run those? Where do those take place, sir?
Oh, it takes place at the Cowboys facility, AT&T Stadium, in the Ford, the Star in Frisco. So
Nice.
pretty on the Cowboys field.
So do you work with? I have a couple of one of my good friends. He has a couple of sons that play flag football, and they actually go up there a couple times a year to play tournaments there at AT&T Stadium. And I mean, everything has looked amazing from. I think it's really cool that the organization allows for youth athletes to come in and use the facilities like that, a world-class facility like the one that they have there.
It's confidence. It's it really is confidence, especially at an age like that when you can, be around the stars and play where they play. It's that confidence, it's that mentality is putting you in that mind frame, and it's very encouraging for the youth because I didn't have that. I didn't when I was growing up. I just pretty much had my front yard. I had the school, and pretty much random grass in the neighborhood,
Right?
with sticker bugs.
Yeah, you got to get out of the street if a car's coming.
Yeah, they're a lot more spoiled than us. They got the nice turf.
All right.
Yeah, you tackle us, we like, hold on, time out. Could you pull that?
Yep.
All right, Tommy.
And your camps are a day, 2 days, 3 days? How long do they run?
So the 2 days, the 2-day camp, they're 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. The 3 days are the tough ones because you're like, whoo.
Yeah.
After 3 days, don't get me wrong, those kids, bless their heart, they are amazing. But after on that 3rd day, you're just ready to play flag football.
Yep.
That's the fun part. I love it when we're playing flag football and taking them through the drills and everything and showing them the fundamentals. And man, you just see the future athletes coming up, and it's a wonderful experience. That the Dallas Cowboys would they recognize a hometown kid, and to come in and help continue to develop the young pups coming up.
That's great. No, yeah, that's really, really great of them to collaborate and give back like that. Given your experiences all the different coaches that you've had, the different activities that you've been through, give me some kind of insight on basically what are the pros and cons that you think, and you see these youth athletes come through your camps. What do you think the pros and cons are of today's coaching environments?
Well, I think the pros are coaching, and just depending on where you are. I think people, as far as the parents and the coaches and the organizations, they recognize that there is a need for their kids to have some type of coaching and development for the next phase of whatever their sport may be, not just limited to football. I think the con is, when you have the biases to where, you might have a coach that have certain favorites or things like that. And sometimes it's not intentional, but, once things get going, in certain environments, a coach might prefer an athlete who already is fast and, has the skills where they can just coach from that point. And that's where it gets kind of hairy because not all athletes retain things or develop at the same rate. And
Right.
so as a coach, if you don't understand that, this athlete might require additional coaching, additional skills, additional cues, then that might be the difference in saving them from a premature injury, or having to wait more than they should to start and actually get into action, and so I would say you have to really understand as a coach, all the different athletes that you have and how they respond and how to develop them. Some kids are, if they hear it, they got it. Some
Right.
kids, if they see it, they got it. Some kids, if you show them, if you draw it out, they got it. Some kids, if you walk them through it, they got it. But just to assume that just because you have a ball in your hand or you're telling them do this or do that everybody is going to do it the same way how you perceive it in your mind as a coach, that's unrealistic. And then, if you get frustrated, then that's a whole nother story. Now it's like,
Right.
So again, that's why I could speak to area scouts is that helps, to not leave behind the kid who needs more development than the next kid, to give them the same opportunity and the same fighting chance to live out their dream. So I would say, yeah, that's definitely the pro and cons, just to name a few. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's the benefit, another benefit of the area scouts, like you said, is you can bring them along at their speed whenever they're ready to be analyzed, to be evaluated, and then go through their lessons. And it really helps a lot of people that wouldn't be in that spot, that wouldn't be able to get that help back in their environment, whether that be a small hometown or whether that be a big team that they're just not up to speed like the rest of the kids.
Right.
And that's good. And I hadn't thought about that's true. I mean, the learning curve is different for everybody. There's visual learners, there's hands-on learners, and it's really good that that not only that you have your camps, that we have the platform now, that there's a conversation going to try and remedy that and figure out how to bring everybody along so nobody's left behind. If you want to be able to compete, you should have the resources to be able to do so.
Yeah,
Go ahead, sir.
that just goes to show. Wow, I'll say this because, and another pro. This is maybe one of the bigger pros about the coaching aspect is, regardless of what sport you play, when you go to the professional, they're getting coached. They're still getting coached by the pro. So the best of the best, they are still going through the daily coaching grind, whatever it is. I remember when I got to the Cleveland Browns as a rookie, I won't mention any names, but there was a first round draft picks that came in, second round draft picks, and there's the undrafted free agents. The guys that the pro organizations have invested multi millions of dollars in, guess what? They're at that hotel late at night going through the plays because that's what they've invested in. And so they want to make sure, above all, not that the undrafted people are less important, but it's like they want to make sure that because they just signed you to maybe 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 10 million, and so it's the higher level you go, the more coaching plays a role. The better you get, the more coaching you're going to need.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you have to change up things, so to speak, but you want to fine tune and become a better version of yourself. And to do that, it's a team effort on the athlete, parents, and the coaches. You know, everyone plays a role in that. And so those are the major pros where, you know, at every level, you're going to have a coach if you participate in sports. So it's better to start early and get used to that, because, you know, once you get into these professional environments, college environments, and I already know like there's only a small percentage that make it to the pros, but, you know, essentially, you know, in high school, that's a huge environment, especially nowadays. You know, because and then college, it's became even huger than it was 10 years ago, because now kids are getting paid to play college sports. So yeah, the coaching factor is definitely you know, alive and well, and definitely needed for this generation and the next.
Absolutely. I've got one last thing I want to talk about with you real quick, and then Dr. Anzillo has a few questions for you. But you mentioned earlier that you were talking about something. You said that's going to be in the book. So I understand you're putting out a book soon. When can we find that for our audience? When can we find that book, and what can we expect to learn from it? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's looking forward to get my hands on that.
Oh man, I could talk about this all day. So the book is about wellness, and it's about the complete picture of wellness. So it has everything to do with, you know, the physical wellness that we're talking about, you know, with sports and things like that. But you know, God gave me 10 areas, and these are 10 areas in all of our lives that, you know, when we look at the you know, living a life where we have true wellness, these are the areas that we focus on a daily basis. But the trick is that we may be focused on one area or two areas way too much at the expense of the other areas. So I outlined 10 key areas and talk about those areas. And it's in the form of like a devotional. So like a challenge. I found that, you know, in the fitness industry, you know, with my clientele, it takes, you know, 21 days to form a habit. And obviously I learned that from sports and fitness and just the whole nine. And it takes 90 days to pretty much make that into a lifestyle. The exact number, scientific number, is 66 days. But 90 days, you know, that's really where people get locked in, and they're able to do things and be more consistent with it. Because if you do it for maybe 10 or 15 days, you might fall off. 21 days, yeah, you got a habit, but something could make you revert back if you're not disciplined. Once you get to the 90-day window, it's like you're more apt to stick with it and repeat. So the book is 90 chapters. The chapters are not super long. Some chapters are longer than others, but it's more of a devotional challenge style. So basically you get your thought for the day, you get to marinate on it, you know, take action on it. And, you know, and it'll come with a actual study guide as well. As a separate book. So it would be like 2 books in one, like separate. So me and my editors are chipping away at it. We're trying to wrap it up at the end of February and then go to publishing after that. So I'm very excited for the pace that we're on, because the thing about me is the people who know me closely know that I'm not going to put out anything that I haven't took the test on. So like, it's not something that, you know, I'm just writing about to write about because I know about it. It's something that I experience and I live on a day-to-day. It's something that works. And a big portion of that is my transparency and me sharing how this helped me on my journey to go to the NFL, and it's also helping me achieve my goals now and for my life. And so, I give all the credit to God because He let me pretty much articulate this and put it in a book, because you hear about every day you have different motivational speakers, and you have people making the YouTube videos and Instagram. And I'm someone who I can be a comedian, do all those things, but I don't want to be a person to just have the fame and notoriety just because I'm doing crazy videos. Like, I actually want to help people.
Right.
Because I know that there's a world out there suffering, and people need answers. People need solutions. People need, there's people out there to do those videos. They don't, the world don't need any more of that. And so I'm like, Lord, help me to put out a good product that is actually going to help me help the world according to the gifts that you have put in me. And so I truly believe, I put pretty much my heart and soul into it. And I didn't want to just have it ghost written. I really wanted to get down in the trenches on my first book and really challenge myself and allow my editors as well to challenge me. Like, why did you write this? Where did this, what were you thinking on this? And then I challenged them. And so I'm enjoying the process, and I'm not rushing. I'm not rushing the process. I trust the process. And so when that comes out, I definitely will get a copy to you all.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to reading it. It'll be a good resource for anybody seeking wellness, seeking guidance along the road. I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I'm looking forward to when it comes out.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Enzillo, you got a few questions for Mr. Hagerty here?
Yeah, so we try to keep these at an hour, so I'm going to get right to some of the one of the questions that came in for you through YouTube. So one person asked, Tim Smith asked, what coaching disciplines should a young athlete have in their corner beyond skills coaching?
Coaching disciplines, you definitely want to, I would say the number one thing is consistency, and to be a sponge. The ability to learn from how others do it. When I say be a sponge and learn how others do it, is your coaches can teach you, your teammates can teach you. So be someone who, even when you're not in the game, you're still in the game. You're paying attention to your surroundings. You're paying attention, like you're looking at the scenarios, you're absorbing the scenarios, and you're doing those things. And then you want to push yourself, work on yourself. I would say work on yourself more than you would expect a coach to work on you. Like it's a difference between the athlete that's showing up for the coach to teach them every single thing. And that's all fine and well. I mean, that's what coaches get paid to do. But it's a difference in the athlete that shows up and the coach says, wow, there's something different about this athlete that is separating them from the rest. They have a hunger for what they're doing. They're inquisitive. They're asking questions. They want to know. So be that hungry athlete that will actually challenge the coach to, bring out the best in you, and allow the coach to bring out the best in you. And that speaks to my next one is in order to be a great athlete in or great in anything, you have to allow constructive criticism. Don't let the compliments go to your head and don't let the criticism go to your heart. You know, one thing that allowed me to get better is my coaches know when they tell me, hey man, that route sucked. You could have did better on that or this or that. I don't take it personal. You know, I work harder on the next rep. I go twice as hard in the gym. And then I say, well, how about that? You know, and they said, well, you just broke the record. You just, had 12 catches. And so, and then after that, it's not getting complacent again, falling in love and having fun. That's another one that is a discipline of mine. I fall in love with what I do because as an athlete, especially if you're trying to go to the next level, you don't want to hate what you do, because you're working so hard at it. You want to find a way to fall in love and have fun with the journey of getting better, and then obviously, if we're going to get technical as far as disciplines, your recovery, the way you handle your body, the way that the way that you eat, the amount of rest you get, the amount of film study, those things, and always ask questions. They tell you in school, ask questions. Well, it's no different in sports. Ask questions, because you'll get your answer. The answer that you're looking for, somebody has the answer. And if it's not the coach you have, then, area scouts. It's another plug right there.
That's right. Good deal, man. That was a ton of useful information. I hope a bunch of athletes were watching and just soaking up all that stuff that you had to say like a sponge. Because you just spilled out all sorts of useful information that can really help propel athletes through their career. Mm-hmm. So we're lucky to have you as our national director of wide receivers for sure.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Do you have any other questions, Doctor?
No, good, all good. Okay,
so just as a reminder, well, first of all, thank you, Jonathan, for coming on with us tonight. Thank you, Dr. Anzillo, for being on with us tonight. Like you said, tons of useful information. And we're live every Wednesday night, but we also will be posting this whole interview on YouTube. So if you missed some of it, you missed the beginning part, the end part, or you want to show something to your youth athlete whenever Jonathan's talking about not quitting, anything like that, you can come back and always view our video on demand interviews on our YouTube channel at Area Scouts. We are on Area Scouts across all platforms. We are on all platforms, across all platforms as Area Scouts. That's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Discord. If you guys want to hop in the Discord and ask some questions, we'll be there. And until next Wednesday, once again, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. And just jump in the live and ask us some questions. And hopefully everybody got as much information from this interview as we did. And I walk out of this feeling like I have a lot more insight on what it takes to become an athlete and to really just get through life and some guidance. And I'm looking forward to your book coming out.
Absolutely.
So keep us updated and we'll pass the word along.
Will do. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you all. Y'all have a good night.
You too.